Whilst in Johannesburg, he formulated friendship with business people in order to learn the skills of running business, which he aptly acquired. Now, in his pursuit of business entrepreneurship, he went on to join the taxi industry. And whilst hustling his way in the taxi industry, he met, he fell in love, and married Lindy Ngobeni. Such a union proved to be a seal of business partnership, as the couple joined hands in actualizing their dreams of being business persons. And from this marriage, a son was born, Mkhusi, who is now also an astute businessman. Having an urge to come closer to the parents which he so loved, in 1977, seeing that the township of Mdantsane was growing, he saw a need to open up a business in Mdantsane. He brought along his business skills, which he has gathered and harnessed in the city of Johannesburg, and was determined to use them to grow his business interest in Eastern Cape. A man of sage wisdom, he opened a spaza shop, and because he was coming from Joburg with a car with a TJ number, the spaza shop was to be called TJ by the community. Whilst actually negotiating to get a permanent structure from the then Ciskei government, he operated his business from a Wendy house. And when he actually obtained the loan, he was able to build a brick and mortar structure. Determined to sail the uncharted waters, Mzimasi opened the first walk-in supermarket in Tanzania. The community were very much pleased because it was the very first experience that they were having this within their environment. The supermarket was to be called AU2. AU2 would later become the name of his stable, boxing stable. And this AU2 emanated from the name of AU2 Cinema in Soweto. As a man of dreams who was determined to succeed, he went on as a business person to open bottle stores, petrol stations, hair salon, franchise supermarket brand, to name a few ventures. Being a village boy who has grown up tending to cattle, he grew the passion for farming, a career he actually held on until the end of his life. Mzimasi, a man known to champion his idea, had such a business acumen that were advanced for his era. He was a pioneer and indeed a trailblazer. He loved Mzi's craftsmanship and his networking skill made him rub shoulders with the late Ruben Rasodi, who then enabled AU2 Boxing Club to enjoy international exposure. This was born from Mzi's ability to network and negotiate. AU2 Boxing Club, under his careful and skillful guidance, produced more than 30 South African and world champions. Mzi did not only end there. He helped to establish and was elevated to lead and become the chairperson of the Eastern Cape Promoters Association in 1988. Influenced all important decisions pertaining to the development of boxing. The result of that was that South Africa became recognized and worked with Boxing South Africa recognized him and worked with his Promoters Association. And this led to a successful amendment of the Boxing Act, Act 11 of 2001. We know that Mzi came to boxing when the pangs of apartheid had a firm grip on the black youth in particular. He came in as a messiah to the young souls and rescued them from the shackles of poverty that was ravaging in Tanzania. Indeed, this man of many talents had a political consciousness. His political consciousness led him to be one of the most dependable, reliable, and trustworthy cadre of the movement. He made an immense contribution to the liberation movement, enabling it to realize its underground mission. He assisted in harboring the late Steve Tshwete, who was hounded during that time by the security forces, and ensured that the underground work of the ANC is fulfilled. The ANC remained indebted and they continued to hold him in great esteem. He was tasked with various underground activities and would assist most of the comrades skip the country successfully and safely. Mzi was a good and a fast learner, a strategist, an educator, a disciplinarian, a go-getter, and truly a genius. His light shone beyond the borders of the Eastern Cape, and his work gained him recognition, and he is celebrated for his contribution and for the development he made to the sports of boxing in South Africa and the world. In his last days, Mzi was embraced as a hero, a leader, a legend, an initiator, a strategist who had vision and purpose. He built communities, developed individuals, brought people together. His nickname may have been Planga, which means wood, okanye ngesintu intonga. But he had a soft heart and was not shy to shed a tear when strategy struck. He had an immense love for his family and children. And during the days of his ailment, he would be asking, "Oh, people indeed." He is survived by his wife, siblings, children, and grandchildren. Allow me, South Africa, to talk with Amamponumi Sojolo Mpanko Omoqa to release the spirit of this great giant. Siyakhulula ke tholele umthwakazi, tholele nkwa. Siyakhulula ke ngwanye. Siyakhulula ke nyana umfazi ombele mnye. Siyazi ukuba ngaphesheya uba uvuyisile bakulindile. Sisazi kananjalo ukuba uMadlamini iyakulangazelela. Yakuhlala ke usezinhliziyweni zosapho lwakho nosapho loMzantsi Afrika nabathandi bemidlalo bephela. Thando sinike lona liyakusoloko lusifudumezile. Mfundiso zakho ziyakusikhokhela. Moya wakho yakuhlala uhleli phakathi kwethu usinika ithemba. Akwaba inkosi yoxolo ngwanye kamajolo tshelezo mhle ingakugcina ikwamkelele ezandleni zakho. Enkosi.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mzimasi Mnguni. Siyabulela kakhulu Tata uMqalo ngokusifundela imbali etyebe kangaka. Siyakhahlela kusodolophu wengingqi yomasipala iBuffalo City Municipality ophakathi kwethu. Siyakhahlela nakuzo zonke ii-champions ekungabantwana bakatata uBramzini. Siyaqhubekeka ke ngoku sizawungena kwinkonzo yezithethi ze-tributes. If you've just joined us, we are gathered here at St. George's Presbyterian Church here in East London to bid farewell to a legend, imbali yakhe esele ifundile. Indoda eyenze umqela omkhulu kuzo zonke ii-aspects zobomi bakhe. Xa ndizawunikela ke utata u-A.N. Mnguni athethele ifemeli, ndikhumbula nje into encinci ebendikhe ndayibalisela malunga nale nto ibithethwa apha ekugqibeleni kwi-obituary yokuba elinye igama lakhe linguPlanga. So ndiyabuza ke ngokuba livela kweli gama likaPlanga. Kuthiwa in the early 70s xa unebusiness ubungakwazi uyothenga kwi-wholesale. So utata uBramzini, pardon me here, those who are listening to us using the English language, I will try and mix because I'm trying also to accommodate abantu baseMdantsane nabantu base-Alice who were very fond of Bramzini, and I am going to mix here and there. So apparently he got the name Planga because he was not authorized to go and buy in bulk in a wholesale. So he had to improvise and get a name that he would use to trade. So there was a guy who was already allowed to go and buy in wholesales, and his surname was Planga. So wacela ke utata uBramzini kuba wayemazi umuntu owayephangela phaa e-wholesale uba asebenzise igama likaPlanga. And that's an indication yokuba ngenene uBramzini was a pioneer, because uba ngabane bengenabo ubungqondi nobukrelekrele wayezawufadalala nje angawaphesuli amaphupha akhe. Ndithe ke kuwe ekuqaleni, he lived a very colourful life. Ezinye izithethi zizawulichazela. From the family front, masicele utata uMnguni ukuba eze ngaphambili, A.N. Mnguni. Kubhalwe Mr. apha uba ngabana, ndicela uhlobo wakho uMthamsi. Masicele ke umama usisi A.N. Mama A.N. Mnguni ukuba eze ngaphambili azothethela egameni lefemeli. Uxolo kakhulu.
Program Director, I wish to greet you this morning, you and your special honorable dignitaries that have attended this big occasion today. Protocol observed. I know that in the program I'm noted as Mr. Mzimasi Mnguni and a sister to Mr. Mnguni. Now, I think my turn now is to play the Ranaka family and display and explain to you how was Mr. Mnguni. And the costume is not here today, I'm still is. So when I'm using is, it's because I cannot take it that it has passed on. I think he's still with us. Mzimasi on Pramzi, there in the village, I know, he had other nicknames that I'm not going to mention today. Of course, in the birth profile, she is the second son, and I'm just after him. So I know some of his little jokes and things that he did when he was still a young man, and I also know some. And what had happened is that as he was growing, we couldn't really make it that what kind of a boy was he going to be like. And my mother used to say, "You see this one? Do you see this one?" All the time. I must be just after him. And my mother used to laugh this. And I think one day it happened that, I don't know what he did, but it was similar to something like he followed some girls who were going to the river. And my mother heard about that. And then when he came back and he started now to do this, I don't like this and what and what. And then my mother is telling now a story to say, you know, when I started this time, and which was my last time, he held me here like this, and I felt, wow, this is a man. I will not do this again anymore. Now, I want now to come also, we always see the families, especially amaXhosa. Sizahlukanisa omnye umzi nakomnye umzi by iziduko. Sithi ke mose singojola, ojonkomo. Sithi singomphankomo. Sithi singotengeba. Sithi ongwanya. Kude kuthiwe ke ngoku ungujola. Laa nto ithi ijikelezayo apha, that is, thina sizala namhlawumbi neenyoka, kodwa ke ndiyoyika, asininjanga bethunani inye, igama layo ngumajola. Now, kwezi ziduko, I want to mention two iziduko. Endizawuthi ezo ziduko ndizihlanganise nobu bomi benibuva apha. Kuthiwa phaya xa sibulisanayo, molo jola, athi omnye, ewe ke jonkomo. Molo jola, ewe ke jonkomo. Now, what is the meaning of this jola? Ujola was as our culture, when there are big feasts, especially of meat, really people sit down in big dishes with this meat being served. So I mean that at my home, we are not scared to give that whole meat to the people and share it. Something that has been common with my brother as we were talking this morning. Now, to omphankomo, I mean, inkomo is a pride of each and every home. Every home is a home when there is a lot of cows or cattle. And then we see that man is a man. You see, he's got that, I mean, a lot of cattle. See them when they are going to the field or going to the river. So, how can now a man be easy to him to take a cow and give it to someone else? that is umpango. I'm trying now to show her and how maybe he's blessed even by his ancestors. It doesn't start today. It started long ago, because I think these clan names were given to the actions that were done by the people of long ago. Now, let me come now to look at Mzi in the family. We had a brother who's late. As well, they were growing. My brother used to, hey, Tooth, you are so slow. Let's go, let's do it like this. He used to be so forward in the language of today and want to do things by himself, the way it has been explained. This has shown, he has shown this in the family amongst us as brothers and sisters. Now, how now is behaving? The behavior of Mzi was funny. He's a loud person. He was loud in business, loud at home, but behind that loud voice, there's warmth, there's caring. There's also that kind of listening skill to say, Ntombi, what's going on? Tell me. And you will really take maybe whoever has got a problem aside and listen to that problem or whatever it is. So, how can this loud person be like this, but at the same time he's so loud, and even other people sometimes, they are so scared of him. But most of those people learned later that he's a woman. I want now to come to this side, which is love. But he loved his family. He loved first his mother. He was more close to my mother, more than my father, funny enough. And they used to have just a little bit of fight with my father. I don't know, quick. They are, there's something wrong with my father and Ramsey. I don't know how. But with my mother, when he comes home, you see, first, our mother used to sit down like this. And then Ramsey would come and sleep on the laps of my mother like a baby. Hi, Bo. I'm an old man like this. Now there he is lying on his bed. And then my mother is going to scratch his head and things and start to do all those things. And then this love grew, as I say, to the fact that he never spoiled us. He wouldn't just go to Mzimasi and say, I want shoes, I want this. He never did. He never spoiled us at any moment. He would pay for your school fees. He would pay for the money to take you to the doctor. He would see that you have eaten, that is, the groceries and things. Remember, with schools, my sister used to say, but Mzimasi is going to give you 5 rand and then say, please, Lastu, I want the change. So if he has given you money, you must bring the change. So generous as he is, he was also looking at us to say, don't waste, and also know that there is tomorrow. Again, with this love, as he was in the business now, he loved all the stuff. He loved everyone, the customers. Oh, the customers. Now, when somebody, especially mothers, when they come into the shop with the children, first thing he does is to greet the children. How are you? What is your name? And even sometimes give that sweet that we will never give to any of us. And then when there's something like bereavement in families, either in our families, in Mnguni family, or anyone that he knows, he will want to know, is everything going on well? If not, a plan should be made to meet that family halfway. Not in the public, silently and privately. But one day, as you are walking, maybe you say, hey, I'm so happy. Do you know what your brother did to me? People, what did he do? Don't you know? And then the person will start to say, he did this and this and this. And then you start now to say, I didn't know. But anyway, it was a good thing to do. With humility and humbleness. You see, as brothers and sisters, sometimes you quarrel over some things and you don't agree, maybe to a certain point or to a certain point. And then he's loud. Hey, this must go on like this and this and this and this and this. And then there is Sishe starting now to be angry because the brother was talking like this. So I'm not his boy, he can't talk into like that. In 2 days, 3 days, Mummy, he come here. You know what? I don't see Sishe here. He doesn't visit. And Sishe doesn't talk to me. Oh, please, man, see that Sishe talks to me. And when you look back, what was it? Not much, but just because he's loud. He would humble himself first in the family, as the people have noticed that he could humble himself even with anyone, whether he's talking business or he is, whatever he does, he would put humbleness before him and make it and take it as a stepping stone to whatever he wants. Remember, guys, my classes, I left them at home, so he also, what was important with Mzi, the support, I've talked about it. I've talked about the communication loud, as much there was nothing behind it. And again, he was a traveler. People would ask, when did he start to be a traveler? My brother started to be a traveler whilst he was in the village life. You know, they were traveling with horses, horseback. There would be a concert in that school, in that village, and a concert in that village. But my brother would attend all those on horseback. So before he could flew with planes and cars and everything, he started at home because he was an explorer. He wanted to know each and everything. As I said, I want to just touch some little funny things that were happening at home and things that when they started then, we were not sure that they are going to take him far and high as it has happened now. Now, he was generous with his resources. He could share anything. He was generous with ideas because I think in business, you should be able to share how did it go and not say, hi, Shazam. No, I think those people who would come and ask for ideas from him, he would gladly share that and see that that person is moving forward so that he can. He had a big heart. He was not even shy to share a tear. My brother used to cry easily, guys, more than children. And then he easily cry when, especially when he has something that is not, a nice, like bereavements and other things. The other thing he had, he wants to see that everyone is growing, and he wanted to see that everything is happening in order. He was very simple in heart and also humble and humble even in food, simple even in food. You know, my brother used to love umqoqo namasimvo. So don't fry fish and chips and things because he's busy and he wants to go because he wants to fix his car at business. At a small business. And that's how he was. He made our life easy. He made our life, to be great. And we are so happy and grateful to God to bring that kind of man amongst us and call it a family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dubs. Indeed, these are the memories the family will hold on to dearly. If you're watching us on YouTube, we are live even on Newsroom Africa, Channel 405, and we are here to bid farewell to a legend, a man who was respected in all circles. We have been joined by Utarumfunsu Finga, who is in our midst, ozawusinika inkonzo asithuthuzele ngamazwi. Ekudliweni kobomi kuthiwa sikwasekufeni. So naye uBramzi uye waphila ubomi, wahaslisha ngale mihla yanamhlanje kaTwitter. And in hustling, wenze izihlobo. Some of us do not make lasting friendships, but uBramzi did, in the man called Ronnie Berman, kwakunye notata uSobikwa F. Ndizawucela ke ukuba ngabana kuba bengakwazanga uba kunye nathi ngenxa ye-COVID-19, bobabini sibamamele kwi-videos ezizilandelayo. DJ.
I would dearly have loved to have been before you today for a very dear friend, but unfortunately COVID has put paid to that. I don't know how one summarises a 55-year friendship, partnership in a short eulogy. And truth to be told, I am not one for eulogies because I can never quite understand why, when a person is no longer there to hear good things said about them, everybody stands up and makes these wonderful speeches. In Z's case, he thankfully had the opportunity on a number of occasions to see how he was revered and respected. The one time, and again I was honoured to be present, and one of the speakers is when he was the first inductee in the Eastern Cape of a Legends Glazer, and the second, of course, is the tournament in East London, which was dedicated to Z, and where he was brought into the arena in his wheelchair, and just saw the love and admiration from the people there. When one puts in perspective Z's achievements, it absolutely boggles the mind. Training in a sparse gymnasium with the basic of equipment, and yet bringing out producing great champions, often winning their fights and winning titles overseas against most fighters who had the benefit of training in state-of-the-art gyms. There is no doubt in my mind that if we had not been on the beaten track of South Africa insofar as boxing is concerned, Mzimasi would definitely have been an inductee into the World Boxing Hall of Fame. Many people with lesser achievements than him have been given this honour. So it was one of the tragedies, really. The 10th of March, 1990, still the highlight of my career in boxing. The night when Walter Meter won the world title in Israel. It was also the first world champion for Brazil, who tragically also couldn't be there that night because of trouble in Ben's sister. I think he shot and burned down. But that night will forever be etched in our memory as the greatest night in our boxing history, our first world champion. Brazil, what can I say? I can't say I miss him because I've actually been missing him for the last 5-6 years. I miss his counsel, I miss his input. And interestingly enough, even while he was in Perth, I used to bring him up to our tournaments at Empress Palace, and maybe to get his input into fighters to see if he thought that they had the talent, etc. So, to a dear friend, somebody who's irreplaceable, someone who for 35 years I never had to go and have a written contract between us. Such was the man that his word was his bond, and our work together was our written contract. He will be sorely missed, and he will be deservedly an icon and a legend in South African boxing. I'm working on ways to perpetuate the name of Mzimasi Mnguni, and probably one of those will be, one way will be to have an annual tournament, the Mzimasi Mnguni annual tournament. But we will put it together and announcements will be made in due course. Goodbye, my friend. It was such a pleasure and a privilege to work with you.
nam nakuleyo elwekhaya injalo ngileyo phela i-era impela alesayinela beyira kwakuba uphambi kokuthi asingojona leyo uJohn uthi beka iminyaka mhlawumbe ikhulu bathi ukuthi kakubona nje angaseka esisebenza esisebenza uJohn ngalimbulele nentombi yakhe usifile naye oni othe nangokwenza ihleli pha ekubeni kwakho usifile ngalimbulele olukwenza elokwakuwenza ozohlukile njalo ulenze ngokuba endile usifile nangokuyika sezakulela kodwa mna ngokwami njengoba obesitya isonka ayidla nalele nokwemithi enkosi koJonas umuntu oyileyo wenza lonke enkosi.
Siyabulela kakhulu kubahlobo bakatata Mzimasi Mnguni. Nina ke noyiswa nokwenza i-2 years le ye-friendship. It's as though I've read their minds when I said Mr. Mnguni was a legend because he made lasting friendships. 45 years and 35 years of friendship. Noba mna bendawoyiswa ukhumsha kula friendship yakhe noRobin. Kuthiwa ke ngesiXhosa bantu xa besebenze ixesha elide kunye babizwa ngokuba ngumtya nethunga. Namhlanje sizokubeka ithunga ukuba liphumle ngoxolo kodwa umtya usashiyekile. Masimcele utata uLoyiso Mtya ukuba azosicacisela ukuba intsebenziswano yabo ibinjani ngexesha bencedisana beqinisekisa ukuba sikhiqiza intshatsheli kweli phondo laseMpuma Koloni ezi zigqabise ilizwe lonke jikelele.
Program Director, allow me to say protocol. Xa ndizawuthetha ngoMzimasi Mnguni, ndithetha ngomhlobo wam, ndithetha ngecompetitor. Sidibene saqhuba sobabini kwade kwazoba leli xesha. Andizongena ke kwizinto ezininzi ezithethiweyo nxaba ndawugqiba le mini yonke zithetha izinto ngabantu. Kodwa mna indawo endiye ndaqonda uba makhe ndiwe kuhlala kuyo, it is the day after. The day after, that is after Mzimasi Mnguni. What happens after Mzimasi? In order for you to understand the impact that Mnguni made in our boxing, as an educator, as a strategist, as a disciplinarian, as a go-getter, as a genius, you got to understand uba xa wayefika apha kwiboxing yethu yayinjani na iboxing. Because uba uzawucinga iboxing yalapha yayiboxing nje esesithubeni, you will never be in a position to understand the impact that it made, because wayithatha iboxing isuka ndawoni na. La magama ayabizwa but ke mna ke ndinelami ndifuna ulongeza kula magama abizwa ekuthiwa ngawo. Ndiyafuna ukuthi he was streetwise, because
izinto ezininzi akwazileyo ukuzenza Mzimasi uzazi because he was streetwise. Xa efika boxing aba ufike iboxing yalapha eMonti kusithiwa this place is the mecca of boxing. Imecca of boxing kusithiwa kulapho amanqindi onke aqala khona, amanqindi onke adibana khona ngenxa yoba sasiphela kweprovince ecompyuthayo nesoka nerugby in terms of ubiza abantu esizakashe stadium sibiza 25 to 30 people because abantu nalapha bayayithanda iboxing. Ufike ke apha wafika kukho abantu ababeyenzile le boxing, abantu banje nge-administrators ezingadala uMzoli Magyaka ootata uThami Nomvethe ootata u-Eric Gabela namazi-promoters abo-Charles Sele ababengabantu belaa xesha le-apartheid. Wafika kukho ii-promoters ezazikumfana Jekwa wangena ngamnye kuboxing. Andizongena apho because lelinye ibali elide but wangena sasebenza kunye iminyaka kangoba uyointroduce kwakho kules Eric Gabelana nomfana Jekwa wayointroducwa ndim nemilo yakhe yathi bakhona ngenxa ye-competition I had uba ndibe ndikhona ndiphakathi kuloo milo ukuze loo milo ibe kanti iyaphela uMzimasi akwazi ukusebenza. He was a strategist. Okokuqala kule ndaba strategist ndifuna ukwenza umzekelo nje othi wayengazukela ukuboxing kuqala nje wayezazi engumntu ozakwenza ubomi ezaba yi-businessman, but his first strategy was to get a wife, a good wife, and wathatha uLindiwe Ngobeni wadecide uba this is the partner ezifanayo, and that partner made sure that while ixesha lakhe Mzi was in boxing, was in the ring, business yakhe never suffered. Business yakhe grew and grew and grew while he was not there, busy boxing. He was a strategist. He was a businessman. One morning, some ngeke sasebenza kunye le ndaba ye-strategy. Xa kwakungena urhulumente omtsha, lo rhulumente omtsha engena norhulumente omtsha wamanqindi, kufuneka kukho abantu abazawuphatha amanqindi. Wabe unesimala lona wethu apha eprovinsini, one of the people who made boxing in this area, ebizwa national uba mayokuba ngu-national chairperson, bevuya abantu bevelelele ngoba yekules uzawukhula kule boxing. Ndathi ndihleli payendlini ngenye imini wangena emzini wathi mfondini ngiyakubona uba nawe ukhona kule les makanyuke andiyifuni izitshona ibonisi. That couch Mzee was a businessman, Mzee was a strategist. Wathi ukuba ules akakho kule province, that will not be good for boxing. Ukuba ules uphaya national soze sikwazi ukubamba kakuhle ules ngokuthi ules wenze iboxing. Bayeke bathathe umuntu phezulu thina sigcine ules apha into masiyenze thina kutyhala umuntu wethu masityhala ukhulile rhadi ukuze ukuba kubekwa ungatani phaya phezulu okhulayo baba ayoqhuba ongatani ukwenzela into yokuba ibhizinesi yethu ibe strong, ikhaya libe strong na-national, kodwa we cannot lose ules and umzini wayenyanisile. Masiyeke ke ngoku ezo singene ekubeni njengoba ke iboxing yayinje abantu balapha bephambili kodwa kule boxing i-champions khona iboxing yayiqale ngo-1965 professional boxing, yayiqale ngo-1955 amateur boxing. By 58 kwakusekho i-champions ezenza kwa-amateur, and then 1965 yaqala i-professional boxing. By 1972 i-South African champions sasesinayo. By 1979 le ndawo yayiseyiproduce 5 South African champions nayo kustrobo bayo andiqhayisi ntantsini ndiyenye yazo yayinkosana Mgathi yayinkosana Mgathi kuqala eyesibili yabangutsiyethu maletwana utsiyethu walandela nguzulu isikhweya yazoba nguloyiso omtya nomfana mhleka ngakume abantu bethi babethi abantu yazoba ngoweNdubusinkulu 1979. Esisadukashe ufike umzini ngexesha sesiphume sisadukashe kusiwa e-Orient. Benqaba isadukashe yayiseyinezinto zepolitics abantu beyeka. Umzi ungene ngelo xesha waqalisa ukwenza ezakhe promotions. Mzi became so good. As a trainer, as a strategist, as a promoter, but when we promotion, sabona icala elicha, sabona icala le business. Umzi wasithatha wasisusa kule levels kuyo yokuthi boxing siyayithanda boxing sport wathi umzi this is also business. Lento lisebenze ngohlobo lwebusiness. Mandilapho because ixesha liza kubulala ndingene ku the day after. Indeed, now that Mzimasi is gone, what do we do? What do we do to make sure that the legacy that Mzimasi Mnguni was, the educator Mzimasi was, the education asindeona kwenzeka ntoni na ngayo? What do we do? Andizongena le-MBC kwezenu zokuba ndizawuthi makuthiwe igama lebhilidi lithile ngayo, makuthiwe isitrato esithile ngayo, makuthiwe whatever ezawuthiwa ngayo. Sesikwi-backlog ende kakhulu apho zininzi iindawo ezikuthiwa ngabantu siseza nathi. We deserve it, and sideserve nje kule province senze bhekele kunasiphi isport. Phela kwethu isport esibekele nawo in the map. But ndizawuza mna mntu wamaninzi usebenza amaninzi. Nangu chairperson wethu weboxing lapha, nangu sihle lapha, nangu u-understanding lapha. Uzolathi ngomnye wabantu babe khona ekubeni le-boxing ibeyile nto iphele kukale politics. Nangu uyandadala ndizakuthi chairperson, let us do izinto that will make Mzimasi Mnguni proud wherever he is. Let us go into boxing development. Let us train trainers zethu so that sikwazi basuka kwezi level besikuzo bakuzo Mzimasi Mnguni. Let us get i-boxing yethu ibheke emantombazaneni, ayeke amantombazana ethu ukuthi uzalo kube kanti kungo-August. Amantombazana ethu mawalo kulahlekwe silwa ngalo ngela xesha i-boxing ebeyikala indawo ye-boxing. Let us train ring officials zethu. Let us train everybody kwi-boxing ukwenzela i-boxing yethu ibe izaba developed. 2, let us get i-business yethu chairperson ibe kwi-level umzi ebeselibeke kuyo i-level ye-business. During apartheid, i-boxing yaba yayiphogele i-public sector. I-boxing yayisenziwa ngo-Ellerens, ngo-Oldbach, ngo-King Khan nezinye ungazibiza. There was money to be made. And if MBC, we can be able ukuba sibize ezonawo uba isezizo ibe kanti ke zezinye ezintsha because i-boxing has also gone digital. So kwazi ukuba kubekho enough money kwi-boxing ukwenzela i-profit yenzeke for all businessmen. Sawukwazi ukuba senze enough money kwi-boxing for kubekho enough tournaments abantwana bethu bakwazi ukulwa. Okwesithathu sawukwazi ukuba kubekho enough money kwi-boxing so that everybody is happy. Okokugqibela MBC. Sendiyikalile indima MBC. The legacy that Mzimasi left kufuneka ibhalwe encwadini. Umzi nabanye abantu. Ngiyigqibile ibhala MBC. Ngiyigqibile ibhala MBC ngenzela into yoba nabantwana bethu abangasekhoyo bayazi bakwakho abantu abanjeni. Kwakho o-Apostle Dr. Hawk Makekula ababazi-world champions 5 times. Kwakho oVuyani abophula irekhodi zase-South Africa. Ukhona nawe kancane because wena uthe ubona ukuba i-boxing yethu iyadlakazela iyawa and abona abantu babulala i-boxing zii-promoters wabiza ii-promoters phaya eBonafide. La indaba oyenza phaya netim yakho ndivala ngayo kancane. And ke ngoku laa ncwadi mhlawumbi nguphase 1 phase 2 uza kuthi ii-resolutions ebezenziwe othema zenziwe phaya ziza kwenzeka na. Ndiyagqiba kuloo ndawo. Xa ndigqiba ndifuna nje ukuxola xa ndisithi kubo uMzimasi makahambe ndongeze nje phaa kuni kwezaa zibongo zenu. Ndisithi hamba Mabalekijima, hamba Makhombe Khanyela, hamba Phuncuka Bemphethe, goloza edingeni engasayifumana nto, nyonke namanyala yatshilile emlizweni, shibikanga nolandela inyathelo kanyoko, khonkola nto kodwa namphothula. Ndiyabulela. Thank you.
Seem to have lost that line, but we'll try and reconnect as soon as we're able to. The funeral service of Mzimasi Mnguni, passed away last week, a very loved sporting personality. We'll go back there as soon as we're able to. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister, all right, let's take a break.
Ndibulise kwifamily yakwaMnguni amampondomise. Ndibulise ku-Deputy Minister wethu ozosinika intetho ephambili lomsebenzi kaBramzile. Ndibulise kuye wonke umuntu olapha, all protocol observed. I think njengoba besechilo uJola lo osuka apha into ezininzi besele zithethiwe, so mine zawenza nje isishwankathelo sentetha. On Saturday, the 13th February 2021, the contradiction between life and death was unfortunately resolved in favor of death. A legend, a leader, a promoter extraordinaire, a philanthropist, a teacher, a community builder, a cultural revolutionary, and an organic intellectual has ceased to exist. A husband to his wife, uSislindi, a father and grandfather, a brother, a father figure to those who encountered him, is no more. Mzimasi Mnguni, a symbol of excellence, a symbol of professionalism, a path-breaking thinker, as has been said by many, a self-starter and entrepreneur, was immortal and is immortal and will be immortalized. We will immortalize him because of his deeds. We will immortalize him because of his deeds, because of his actions, because of his contributions, and because of the lasting legacy he has bequeathed us, we, the living. We will immortalize him and his generations, because Bramzile refused to allow the conditions of his death to condemn him to be non-imaginative, non-aspiring, non-thinking, and to condemn him into a hopeless individual. We'll remember him because he did not just produce great national and world champions, but he was also a champion of life and a champion for life. We'll remember him not only because he was Bramzi, but because he was who he was, because he never allowed adversity to conquer him. Bramzi, as Umqadi Uloiso has said earlier on, was streetwise, a sophisticated negotiator who always garnered for the best deals for his boxers. He was a master tactician, and of course, in negotiating his deals, like a true boxing maverick, he went for knockouts, technical knockouts, straight wins. A draw was a compromise to him, and of course, he never liked defeats. His conduct off and on tournaments was reminiscent of a true descendant of that great warrior of the Mpondomise, the great King Mhlonhlo, who defended his people and who truly fought for his people. He too, uBramzi, fought for his boxers. He fought for the development and transformation of the sport of boxing, as has been said. He fought for the development of boxing in the Greater Mdantsane as well as East London areas. If in the 1960s, 1970s, up to the 1980s, if those were the great years of the development of boxing in this particular area, well then, the 1990s and early 2000s really ushered what has been called the great era of boxing. And if the boxing history of our land is written properly, Bramzi's name will be etched as one of the shapers of the trajectory of boxing in this country. Simon Sali, Happy Boy Mdlaji, Anthony Moruti, Mzukisi Square, Baby Jax Matlala, Tep Tep Makatini, Mzimasi Mnguni, and many other boxing warriors. You have done what you could do whilst you lived. You have not done what you could not do. In your memory, we will continue with the task of taking boxing to the new greater heights. In your memory, we will renew and rebuild the sport of boxing in this country. The renewal journey will catapult boxing into a new trajectory of reconstruction, growth, transformation, creativity, and innovation, as has been said by Mr. Mnguni. We are inspired by your heroism and exemplary leadership. We are learning from your lessons that we ought to subordinate our own interests to the collective interests of the development of boxing, if boxing is to thrive. And we will succeed, we will flourish. Sibamba ngazibini ke Mzi wakwamnguni for allowing uBramzi to be himself. Sithi akuhlanga lungehlanga luhlanga. Masimbulele uBramzi ngemisebenzi yakhe, simkhulule ngoxolo. Sithi ke lala ngoxolo ngwanya mphankomo jola kaNgqina, uNgqina kaNtose, uNtose kaMpondomise, uMpondomise kaNjanya, uMpondomise uNjanya kaSibisidi. Sithi lala ngoxolo sirhwarha phila kuzenzela. Enkosi.
Enkosi kakhulu Jola, ndiyabona uvukwa luhlanga kwa indlela le umthutha ngayo kuba kuyacaca uba ooJola zingangalala. Bungasoze ube ngu-chairperson we-boxing South Africa xa unguJola. Ozibona ngathi ke le bhatyi emlingeni ufuna aqala abe nguJola kuqala. Siyabulela kakhulu. It is indeed a mammoth task asishiya nayo uTata uBramzi Mnguni of ensuring that we take the Eastern Cape back to its glory, ibizwe ngokuba yi-mecca of boxing. Siyabulela kakhulu Thando Jack for the words. Masicele ke kuba uTata uMzimasi Mnguni ubezele inyambalala yabantwana. Abanye ke ubazele ngembambo, abanye ubazele ncakasana. Ndilibona ukazi kodwa ndizawuqandisa ukuthetha ngohlobo benilindele ngayo. Ubezele ncakasana. Masicele ke abantwana bakhe ukuba bazawunika i-tribute imizuzwana nje lembala. Ndinikela kuyo. Sicela ungabi sadlala nengoma ngenxa yexesha. Ndicela nendixolele kakhulu.
Thank you, Program Director. It is a well-established norm that we acknowledge dignitaries in attendance according to social standing and offices that they hold. But in honor of my father, who espoused the equality of all human beings, I would like to acknowledge all mourners in attendance. Equality of all doesn't cancel out our gratitude we as siblings and family owes to the South African government in bestowing one of the highest honors our country can to its citizenry, a state funeral. In this regard, I would like to thank the government representatives that are here with us today, the Program Director, the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, any other ministers and MECs that are present, the Executive Mayor of Buffalo City, Mr. Pagaki, and all dignitaries present. It would be amiss of us not to acknowledge our spiritual leaders, Abafundi Sbetu, that are here with us today. Also, I would like to acknowledge the Mnguni family, in its entirety, as well as the Ngobeni family. As the elder son, my siblings standing with me have requested me to relay their final message to Tata, starting with umafungwashe wakhe Nondi. Tata, bendikhona ebomini bakho, ndikubonile ugulile. Iintlungu zakho bendingenozithatha. Inkosi ikuphumzile. Lala uphumle Jola, qengela. Utoni, I don't know much about the place you are at right now, but I'm certain that the first thing you asked your maker when you guys met was, Ungumni Fundini. Jola, I thank you for the love and great teachings. I thank you for having my best interest at heart till your last days. Thank you for hanging in there to witness my wedding. Naming my wife, Inatingos, was a short, strong message to me that everything is going to be fine. Nangoku Jola kuzoba mnandi. Tata, with all your imperfections, you will always be the greatest dad to me. We'll always love you, Jola. Lala ngikolo pango. Kama, Dad, on my Uber ride rushing to prepare for your memorial service, Mariah's song, I'll Be There, played. The sense of comfort and relief was as if you were telling me you will always be there when I call your name. We await your signs and presence, Mzee, because I felt your spirit. Thank you for understanding and embracing each of us our uniqueness. I was the most fragile in your eyes, but I promise to take care of the younger and to be their pillar. We will miss you. Seeing your smile in our siblings gives me the reassurance that we carry you inside us. It will always resonate within us. No later, Jola, you place no bounds in giving us the best education so that we may accomplish our dreams. You broke traditional views because you allowed us to be whoever we wanted to be and acknowledged and appreciated our uniqueness. Thank you for making it easy for me as a black girl to walk into big, intimidating rooms, tall and proud, so that I too can continue your legacy to contribute to humanity and the community at large. Thank you for making us independent, especially the girls. You will always tell people that I was attendees, and no one would ever love us like you did. Your love was really enough. You are truly a living testimony. Kali, whenever I think of my dad, the first thing that comes to my mind is his smile. He had the biggest smile that brought about a sense of warmth, joy, happiness amongst us. The reason why I loved his smile so much was that it exposed the gentle side of him, a side that we got to love and experience. He was a gentle giant. When Dad smiled at you, a certain light shone so bright that your own light was strengthened just by being around him. And that was the power of influence that he had. He was able to use that smile and sense of influence not only help those around him, but also develop communities. I can only hope that one day my smile can shine so bright that it will impact those lives, the lives of others around me like my dad's. Lonwabo, Jola, ukuhamba kwakho kunditheze amandla. Andinawo amazwi anokucacisa indlela endiziva ngayo namhlanje. Mhla kwathiwa mandichaze yonke into okwandenzela yona, ndinganabisa amazwi anogcwalisa iitafile afanele iinkosi zamazwe aliqela. Kodwa ke awa namhlanje athi enkosi kakhulu Jola. Lisa, the world will forever look different with you in it, without you in it, sorry. We all got to experience your love in so many unique ways. I'm continuously learning the true value of life lessons you instilled, and I'm a greater person for having been in the presence of your wisdom and charisma. As siblings, we all share you with the larger community. But now you're gone, we get to hold on to all the beautiful stories of all the lives we touched. Thank you for the privilege of being your daughter. Wenga, we will always remember that special smile, that caring heart, that warm embrace. No matter what, we will always remember you dad, because you will never be another to replace in our hearts. And the love we always had for you. Rest in peace, Dad. A friend shared a Maya Angelou poem that I found appropriate for my father. And I quote, "When I think of death, and of late the idea has come with alarming frequency, I seem at peace with the idea that a day will dawn when I will no longer be among those living in this valley of strange humors. I can accept the idea of my own demise, but I'm unable to accept the death of anyone else. I find it impossible to let a friend or relative go into that country of no return. Disbelief becomes my close companion, and anger follows in its wake. I answer the heroic question, "Death, where is thy sting?" with, "It is here in my heart and mind and memories." End quote. Maya Angelou. Death often leaves us sorrowful, regretful of what could have been, and also yearning for more time with the departed. In death, we also seek the purpose of life. We seek to make sense of our journeys, and doing this, we project the dreams those we have lost. We ask ourselves, what would they have wanted their legacy to be? One of Ramzi's wishes would have been for the family to unite. Family is bound not by blood, but by love, unity, respect, and joy in and for each other's lives. Unity was his gift to the boxing fraternity, his business associates, and communities that he was part of. The cudgels of forging unity are now firmly on our shoulders as a family. Masibamba Nangazangi. Young black males and females often don't have role models. I am fortunate and eternally grateful that I had you as a father, mentor, and role model. You gave me the space to explore, Ubunbam, and reach for my dreams. I'm my father's son. Rest in peace, John.
Siyabulela kakhulu kumkhuseli kwakunye nodade wabo nabafowabo ngenene linzulu ingqi. uBramzi was a family man, khulisile abantwana bakhe, and in them he marked a blight. Lalani ngoxolo nje thuthuzelekani. Masicetheke sicele ukuba sinike umyalezo osuka kwinkosikazi yakhe entle Sisilindi, umyalezo ozodlalwa phayana kwividiyo. Cela ke sonke sicwanga simamele amazwi okugqibela xa evalelisa isithando sentliziyo yakhe.
nathi ithethwa i-ministers no-ACs, diplomats abakhoyo apha namhlanje, officiating ministers, uRev Bosik, Rev Moshe, and Rev Kunela, Mnguni family, and the Mnguni family. Everyone present here today, I humbly greet you in the wonderful name of my Lord Jesus Christ. On this third day, I want to say, umphefumulo wami yenza nkulu inkosi, nomoya wami ugxile kuThixo umsindisi wami, ngokuba wakukhalela uthobeka kumkhonzazana wakhe, ngokuba wamenzela izinto ezinkulu uSomakhe, lingcwele igama lakhe. Tata uJola, Tata uPlanga, Tata Kamkhosile. Indeed, it has not been easy for the past 46 years, but through God's grace and divine intervention, I'm here today to bid farewell to my beloved husband. I'm grateful to God for the wonderful years we spent together as husband and wife. Thanks so much, John Ngoma, for believing in me as your wife. We encountered trials and tribulations, but we emerged victorious, even stronger, for we were meant for each other. Johnny Ngoma, I recall vividly in 1990 when we were in Israel for a well-titled World Cup. Suddenly we got bad news, disturbing news, as did all the businesses back home, they were bent down. That was a very sad moment. Gabuza kuwe, in tears, Gabuza Jona, siyaphi usuka, what are we going to do? Are we going to start all over again? Waphendula Jona wathi, don't worry, as long as I have you as my wife. Thank you, Jona, for believing in me as your wife. Jona Ngoma, ndikuthande engane wami, xa usithi kum uhliseka. Mna zange ndazikhatha, ndazikhethela wena, ndayokuthatha eSoweto, ndawuzisa e-Eastern Cape, ndawuzenza ndakwenza inkosikazi yam. Ngelo xesha unesmile emzini, then I will smile back. Ndikuthande Jona xa usithi, Mama Mnguni, uza kuthandaza nini? Kuba mna nawe, we truly believed in a prayer. Ndikuthande Jona Ngoma xa usithi, Linde oku kutya ndikuva nje akuphekwa nguwe, kuba usazi Jona isandla senkosikazi yakho. Ndikubonile Jona Ngoma ugula, ndikubonile ubuhlungu, ndikubonile Tata Kamkhosile uphelelwa ngamandla, ndikubonile yonke imihla intlungu ziphethe, kodwa ibinye into ebisenza happy is that now we're together. Ndifuna ukuthi ke Jona mphankomo qhileka lala uthule. I promise you, Planga wami, ukuthi ndawugcina iphela lakho. Abantu bakho bazama abantu bakho. Your God's Planga bazama uThixo. Abantu bakokwenu bazama abantu bakho. Abantwana bakho bazama abantu. I will never let you down. Ndawahlala kweli khaya lakoJona until the last day of my life. Jona Ngoma, you have fought a good fight. You have kept the faith and you have finished the race. Surely you will receive your crown. Hamba kakuhle, Tata Kamkhosile. ingoma. Hamba kakuhle sithando sam ndawuhlala ndikukhumbula ndisikhumbule Mzimasi. You will forever remain in my heart. Rest in peace, my sweetheart. Thank you.
Siyabulela kakhulu Sisilindi. Xolo nkosazana. Xolo. Miss him? Yes, you will miss him. Every day. Kodwa yazi lento nathi sibulele ukuba uyazingca ngaye. Uyazingca ngegalelo. Siyakuva nezithembiso zenzayo kwaye sinadyudyu. Kuba ngendlela esikubone ngayo uhamba noBramzile ecaleni kwakho ngawo wonke amaxesha kumnandi kukubi sinesiqinisekiso sokuba uzawuphuma ngebhokisi kula mzawamnguni. Siyabulela kakhulu. Masigqithele ngaphambili ke kuba uBramzile ubengumntu all-rounded ekhonza nokhonza. Sawucela ke bayisithethe secawe umama womndili asiphe amazwi ambalwa ukuba uBramzile bengumuntu enjani enkonzweni. Umama womndili akazi ukwazi uphakama, so ndizamzisela into yokuthetha phaa kulaa ndawo uhleli kuyo.
Mfundisi wa Mzimasi Mnguni, Reverend Dr. Bibi, the moderator of this sanctuary that we're using today. Mama Mutawi Mafu, and all clergy present here this morning. Jangoisa Rekamilishi Negosia Christ. Ndivumele program director briefly ndithi to our parents that are here this morning, let us not understand because those prayers may at a later stage manifest in their lives. Why in this future? It is because when I first saw Mzimasi at church, Mama, as he said, Mama, and soon after that, we could see only innocent, on us too, on Ndima, Dichokolani, Dicho, Umbimbi, Unye, no Grace, and all of them, Balandela. And now I'm proud to say they are members in full communion with our church. Now, Ndizeke Akokufele Control and talk about Mzimasi at church. The role he played in Mzimasi, most people would think Akazuku's coming. But what I learned about him is that Christ is not a meaning. No, he stays there among you as a I'm inclined to think today that because then it was very much of time in our congregation, something in the preaching struck a chord, and he became a disciple. Wavuma, wakoma. And he coupled that with wakibalisa oko kunye stewardship, that's what I wanted to say. Now, what is that? Our young job on a Korean, and I don't know how many times did we go to Mzimasi and use his resources and facilities for our conferences in church as well as our workshops, free of charge. And that is nothing for Mzimasi when we were looking into the work of the church. City is very nice, so see us because we knew as and that's exactly what he did to our church. That's why we found it. And I know as the helm was windy, because even today, Mzimasi akananto afilela kuyo, because he up to date, in fact until March, because he distorted that with the and the Siacho, single, old memorial and Konzo, Sianchuzela, City, Zeninga, Kalazi, Ninga Hoshi, Zeninga Kalani, Goba, Ezozinjo, Zizinzizi, Ebomiletu, Ezozinjo, Zizi, Nchungu, Ebomiletu, Bihazaziana. And come to you, I do want to say, today, Sizonikela Mzimasi as the moderator of the memorial. And on Tuesday, our admin secretary in our audit membership register will draw a line and at the end write deceased because Mzimasi has been killed. But I want to say to you, Feli, we will meet again with you on the 1st of November when it is All Saints Day. We would like to say to you, Malumi, it's a so, the aware of it's a pity, it's always like this. When it comes to church, it's always rush. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Siyabulela kakhulu umama umdala ngamazwi akhe nokusikrobisa ukuba ube ngubani utata uMzini enkonzweni. Masigqithele ngaphambili ke kuba andifuna ubanjwa. Masicele ukuba usodolophu umasipala uMbaxa ukansila Xola phakathi ukuba azokwenza nje atshayelele umama uDeputy Minister uNocawe Mafu xa ehlala phantsi utata uXola phakathi esazisa umama uNocawe Mafu andizoba saphakamanga. Ndawuphakama emva kwamama uMafu kwenzela into yoba sizame ukuba siqoqoshe nenkonzo kwazi ufumana ixesha singade sizokhutshwa amapolisa phakathi over 2.
Inkosi kakhulu mphathi wenkqubo mandibulise kuwe ndibulise ifemeli yakwaTata Mnguni nabo bonke abantu abalapha. Umsebenzi benzendinikwe apha mncinci kakhulu ukuintrodusa uDeputy Minister we-Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, umama uNocawe Mafu. Umama uNocawe Mafu akanidi introduction apha e-East London because she is a daughter of this city. She started off as a professional, health professional upper, Hospital, joined the African National Congress here in this town. Now she's serving as the member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. Ubeke wangu chairperson of Portfolio Committee of Human Settlements before she was deployed as the Deputy Minister of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Yogaland. Over to you, Mama. Siyabulela ngokubakho kwakho apha.
Ndizamcela ke bakhulule imask ukwenzela babe audible. Ndisanitizile, ndizabisanitize.
Ndiyabulela kakhulu mphathi wehlelo okwangu MEC walapha ephondweni we-Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, unkosazana Fezeka Nkomonye. Mandibulise usapho, ndiqale ngoSisilindi. Ndiyambona into yokuba uthokozile, kodwa ke ithemba sinalo kuba siyamazi into yoba umama wenkonzo, uyamazi uThixo. Uyawuthi xa kunzima akhumbule into yokuba xesha elininzi uyawaphakamisela kuye amehlo akhe, ikwanguye umncedi wakhe. Ndibulise usapho lakwaMnguni, oJola, nosapho lakwaNgobeni, nezihlobo zonke nezalamane. Ndilenze ilizwi lokubulisa usodolophu abesuka apha uxola phakathi. Abezemibhoxo abalapha bonke, kodwa ke andidakumkhankanya usihlalo wayo ibhodi, umfana kaJack uLuthando kwakunye nobhuti Loyiso Mtya. Onyawontle abalapha, abanye babo ke bayayazi into yoba babakhe bandiphatha. Umfundisi uFinci wayengumqashi wam, so xa ndizawuchula ukunyathela xa ndijonge bona. Amalungu onke neentatheli ezilapha, manene nani manenekazi. Igama lam selivile, noCawe Mafu, ndingusekela mphathiswa wezemidlalo, ubugcisa kunye nenkcubeko. Ndiyinzalelwane yalapha eMonti kwindawo ekuthiwa kuseziphunzana eDangeni Village. Ndivumeleni ke bethuna ndenze amazwi ovelwano olukhulu lokubulisa nonke abalapha nabo basijoyinileyo kwindawo zobuxhakaxhaka besenza ukuba nabo babe yinxalenye yalo msebenzi weli gorha. Manilenze ke labadala nam kolusapho oJola nabakwaNgobeni, ndithi akuhlanga lingehlanga kunje kumakhaya ngamakhaya. Lalani ngenxeba, nisazi nje ukuba akulahlekelwanga nina nodwa, kodwa isizwe sonke soMzantsi Afrika silahlekelwe ngunyana wesizwe. The sporting community has lost one of its shining stars, a visionary, a pioneer, and an internationally recognized icon in boxing. Mandilithathe lithuba ndibulele urhulumente weMpuma Koloni ekhokhelwa inkulumbuso obekekileyo uOscar Mabuyane uDiya ngokuthi athathe inxaxheba yokunxulumana norhulumente wesizwe ukuba lonyana wesizwe afumane imbeko ephezulu. Ndimbulele urhulumente wesizwe ekhokhelwa ngumongameli uCyril Ramaphosa ukuba avume ukuba eneneni ibiligorha eli makalinikwe ilungelo lakhe. As was the case with many boxing enthusiasts, the passing of Ramzi Mnguni, whilst everybody knew into Bakaphilanga due to his long illness, but it also came as a surprise to all of us, even to me. I'm truly honored and humbled to be amongst those who have come to pay last respects and tribute to a giant of Bramzi's stature. Bramzi, to those of us who knew and grew up here in East London, as in Tanzania, can be described as a philanthropist, a community builder, an educator, a disciplinarian, a sportsman, a businessman, and a political activist. Ujola had a big heart. With his warm-hearted and graceful wife, Mrs. Lindy, they cared for less privileged families. Their contribution ranged from providing groceries, paying for education, supporting the funeral costs, to the needy. Through their different businesses, they created employment for local people. Bramzi never did all of this because he could afford, but he had so much respect for and valued the dignity of human life. Program director, Bramzi was undoubtedly impacted lives here in this area and beyond. In his life, I see the cross of Christ. That cross has two dimensions. The horizontal representing our relationship with our fellow human beings, and the vertical representing the relationship with God. Bramzi was a trailblazer whose acumen transcended his immediate environment. Whilst plying his trade in Tanzania from his AA2 boxing club base, his talent shone through enough to attract the attention of foremost boxing promoter, Mr. Rosley Benman, as you have already heard. Together, the two were to forge the kind of relationship that paved the way to numerous successful careers. The Mnguni-Benman relationship achieved so many boxing firsts that one would have sworn that they had a watertight contract in place. The truth is that all this was achieved at the back of a gentleman's agreement. There was no contract. I'm told that the two remained friends until Bramzi's last day. We've heard him when he was doing his tribute, and he said he's hoping that there will be a Mzimasi Mnguni annual tournament. Besides being a boxing tactician, Bramzi was also streetwise and read the political environment at the time quite well. It was therefore not surprising to hear that after a heartfelt plea by Welcome Ngita to the then International Boxing Federation, IBF President, Mr. Bobiling, as a black man, Bramzi realized that Rodney would need some political clout for Welcome to fight for a world title, whilst the sports moratorium was still in place. Through Bramzi, a connection was made with the late Mr. Mluleki George of the National Sports Council, followed by a presentation for an IBF convention in New Orleans, which cleared the way for an IBF world title fight in Israel between Welcome Ngita and Fabrice Bencho. The win by Welcome gave Bramzi his first world champion. Bramzi's AA2 boxing club quickly became an equivalent of Detroit's Kronk's Gymnasium in terms of its ability to produce even more world champions. As the educator and the disciplinarian that he was, his mantra was, and I quote, "Every boxer a learner. You cannot be an uneducated boxer," close quote. He went on to ban drinking and smoking in his stable. The results, therefore, speak for themselves in the lives of his boxers, Onita, Obungu, Namakepula, and others. Bramzi did not only develop his boxers, but he also mentored younger promoters, including women. For example, our brilliant Mbali Zanzi is the product of Bramsey. At a national level, Bramsey was the first chairman of the Boxing SA Promoters Association. Bramsey's success also caught this government's eye. In that regard, he received 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards from the then Department of Sports and Recreation. As indicated earlier, Bramsey was a sportsman, a rounded sportsman. He was also seen in the rugby circles here in Tanzania through his involvement in the Black Lion and Homeboy Rugby Football Clubs, those that can remember. At the time that Bramsey arrived in Tanzania, it was at the height of apartheid repression. His consciousness led him to be one of the dependable and trusted cadres of our movement. We are here grateful as the African National Congress for his immense contribution to the underground structures of the liberation movement. He made all his resources, finances, cars, his boxing club, his supermarket, available to the organization to support its underground operations. Just to go down a bit in history, A2 Supermarket was not only a grocery shop, but was also a place of refuge for Costa's comrades. They were safe and fed there during the times that they were hiding from the special branch police of the apartheid regime. One of the Costa's leaders of the time, Mzimasi, was telling a story about how Bramsey sponsored their trip baniki moto, abaniki kutya, abaniki mali petrol to Queenstown to bury the late comrade Andile Machoba, who also happened to be a neighbor of the Mngunis at the time. Typical of youth mischief, the car was damaged. Being the disciplinarian that he was, Bramsey reprimanded them like a father, but he continued to open his doors to the young people of this area. As he leaves this earth, he will be welcomed on the other side by the likes of Opera Steve Chwete, or Comrade Christiani, or Makaya Ngalo, or Don Kokweni, or Matemba Vuso, or Andile Machoba, or Comrade Unzinane, or Brastov, the martyrs of our glorious army, Mkondo Wesizwe. Program Director, I can sum up Bramsey's attitude to life and the legacy he leaves by using George Bernard's show words, and I quote, "I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live." Close quote. That's exactly what he did. In conclusion, Mpati Kobo, I would like to leave the boxing fraternity in this region and area with a challenge, in particular those from East London. East London, as it is known, is a mecca of boxing, yet there is no visible legacy or heritage to affirm that. Bramsey, together with some of our local heroes, like Otatu Lawrence Zondo, or Simon Sali, or Monde Mbaka, or Alesta Mahashi, or Monde Dukashi, or Happy Boy Mkachi, or Mvele Luzipo, Nabani, have contributed to this reputation. And later, Aba Welcome Nita, or Vian Gungu, or Hokma Kepula, or Mbulelo Botile, or Nomeva Ndongeni, or Simpiwe Vekeka, or Zolani Tete, and late Baby Lee Amelda. Buki Wenonina, Noni Tenge, and others also made their mark. But what have we to show about that? Boxing in this small part of our country comes from training in school classrooms at Dalubukanya Kwatri, yayiyindawo abantu abebetreyina kuyo. Enyameko kwa-8 kubilwe kube manzi iifestile zingabonakali kube mnyama, with one punching bag. Sometimes the trainers would make boxing rings with desks, with windows wet with condensation. Yet out of those conditions, world champions were produced. We have a young teacher, Payam Tanzania, who was buried a month ago, Unkululeko Mtusando, who was hailed as having contributed and sacrificed personal resources to develop the sport in the area. He is one amongst many. What will happen to those young people that he trained? Will that potential talent go to waste because we don't have a plan in this area? As an organized fraternity, not individuals, put a plan together and approach the office of the MEC here, MEC approach my office, approach all doors, use the office of the executive mayor. All of us, the 3 spheres of government, must put our heads together and make sure that we actually don't talk of a make-out boxing. We show it. So, if you cannot do it for yourselves, at least, please do it again for Mzimasi's memory. Lento indoda ke kakade, into ehlalihlale ihambile. Into ehlalihlale igoduke, naye ke uJola uthe aqhiba ukuhlakula eyakhe intsimi, waxwaya igaba lakhe wagoduka. Hamba qengema, hamba thole lo mthwakazi. Umzamo omhle uzamile, ugqatso ulifezile. Ulindwe sisithaba ngaphesheya. Ndiyabulela.
In your hands, rise our future. In your hands, rise our destiny. Madam Speaker, Master of Ceremony, Program Director, Program Manager, Your Grace, Your Excellence, Your love, Your integrity, Your wisdom, your responsibility, a mighty man of God, fivefold ministry, Reverend Clinella, family of Mnguni, community at large. Yeah, I dedicate this poem to Tata, a father, a great icon, Tata Mzimasi Mnguni, a father with motivation, a father with devotion, a father with communication, a father with meaning. Every successful man like Hawk Makepula, Hawk Nita, Kusal Mnguni. There's a collective parent, John Bencha, Makepula, Mama Linji Mnguni. South Africans, we are one, we are South Africans. I would like to say, we are one South Africans.
Bendike ndathi ke bethunana uTata Mzimasi Mnguni had a colorful life. Ezinye izinto anikwazi sindoyise. Siyabulela kakhulu Deputy Minister ngamazwi wakho achubekileyo. Sibulela kakhulu Nkosazana. Inyeke into endiyaziyo ngoDeputy Minister kukuba xa sithe sabambana thina ngento ayisifuncuki. So esi sibhambathiso ebesenza apha siza kuncedisana ngaso simlandelele ukuba we have something to show ngokunduluka kukata kuGramzimnguni. Masicele ke kuba awethu amazwi angahamba abaphele esithubeni, kodwa sithunyelele ukuba kube khona abefundisi abagadayo abasalusayo abasifundisayo nabasithuthuzelayo ngexesha elinje. Bajonga kophezulu ke bona basinika amazwi avela kuye. Masicele ke uTata uMfundisi uFinca kule mizuzwana imbaloshekileyo ndicela uxolo kakhulu. Ndim omoshe umngcwabo wakatata uMnguni ayinini. Ndicela ndixolele ngokuba bekufanele bango-11 sebesiphumile. Ukuba kuyohlwayo zeningоhlwayo usaphulo kwaMnguni nohlwayeni. Ndicela uxolo kakhulu nakubo bonke abantu abanike uxanduva loqinisekisa uba siyakulandelela COVID-19 regulations. Ndiyazithoba phambi kwenu, ndicela uxolo. Masicele ke utata uMfundisi uFinca ekhatshwa ngutata uBhudaza ozomfundela nje ilizwi bakhawuleze basiphe amazwi okubopha usapho lwakwaMnguni nabo bonke abathandi be-boxing. Ndinikela kuwe ke tata.
Kuwe mphathiswa osiqhubelele inkonzo kubantu bonke abakhoyo emnqobeni ngelihle igama lenkosi ndiyanibulisa nonke molweni ndibulise ngokukhethekileyo kwekhathi ndiyabulisa mangobeni. Isifundo sethu I'll be reading from the Xhosa Bible. Sisifumana kwincwadi yeGenesis chapter 37. I'll be reading from verse 13 to verse 20. Sifundela ngohlobo nabayifumeneyo. Isihloko sale ndawo sithi uYosefu uthiwe nabakhuluwa bakhe uthengiselwa eYibhithe. Verse 13. uSirayeli wathi uYosefu, abakhuluwa bakho abalusi eShekem na, yiza ndikuthume kubo. Wathi yena kuye, ndilapha. Wathi kuye, khawuye kukhangela ukuphila kwabakhuluwa bakho nokuphila kwempahla emfutshane, ubuye uze kundixelela. Wamthuma ke emsusa entilini yaseHebho waya eShekem. Wafunyanwa ngumfo ebhadula endle. Umfo lowo wambuza wathi, ufuna ntoni na? Wathi, ndifuna abakhuluwa bakho, khawundixelele apho balusa khona. Wathi umfo, bandulukile apha, kuba khe ndeva besithi masiye eDothani. uYosefu wabalandela abakhuluwa bakhe wabafumana eDothani. Bambona ke esekude engekasondeli kubo, benza iyelekenxe lokumbulala. Bathetha omnye komnye besithi, nanko lo mphuphi esiza, izandle ngoko simbulale, simphose komnye wemihathi. Sithi udliwe lirhamcu, size sibone ukuba amaphupha akhe abo awuba yintoni na. Eli lilizwi lenkosi. This is the word of God.
Egameni kaThixo ise, egameni kaThixo Nyana, egameni kaThixo Moya oyingcwele. Amen. MC ophethe umsebenzi, Deputy Minister, all protocol observed, ngenxa yexesha. Sapho lwakaMnguni nosapho lwakaMnguni, egameni lenkosi yethu uYesu Kristu ndiyabulisa. Ndithunywa ngumfundisi ophetheyo webandla, umfundisi uKosini, ukuba ndibeke ilizwi, amazwi elizwi likaThixo ngale mini yokuthi ndilante to this heavy weight, ndilante to this giant, uBramzile. Umphathi wenkqubo uthe unika 10 minutes. So ndizawushwankathela imessage ebendicinga okokuba ndizawuyinika ngale mini xa sithi ndilante uBramzile. Moya undithume kwincwadi yeGenesis isahluko 37, ivesi ye-9 neye-19. Umazwi athi bathetha omnye komnye besithi nanku lo mphuphi esiza. They spoke one to another saying, here comes the dreamer. Tenga oba uBramzile kaya
think you would have liked us on this day to be in a celebratory mood. I think Brazil also would have liked us to be on this day in a thanksgiving mood, in a praise and worship to God. A day of giving glory because of all his achievements. Mzee never forgot who God is in his life. In all the heights that he climbed, in all the steps that he mastered, he never forgot who God was. I think Mzee would have liked this day of his departing to be a day of self-examination, to be a day of introspection, to be a day of reclaiming the glory. Besithi nanku nomkhuphi esiza. Umbali bambona esekude bamenzela iyelele lokubulala. Bakhulwa bakhe abalishumi. Bambona umpina wabo uza kubo ubaphathele into ethiwayo. They see him at a distance and they conspire against him, saying, "Here comes the dreamer." And I believe that we are here today to witness the dreamer. He is not coming today, but he is departing today. And we are here to say, Nanku Lompupi, a good Nanku Lompupi, a Munka, Nanku Lompupi, a Alba, everyone now I am very good. Allow me just to summarize three things. Everything is on the The first one, from saying, is that God is teaching us that dreamers don't see things as we see them. Dreamers see things as they see. When we go through the streets of Tanzania and we see boys and girls wallowing in drugs, when we see them killing themselves with alcohol, when we see them prostituting themselves in the dark corners of our city, when we see them plundering and raping, those of us who are not dreamers, they see and they ask, but why? But dreamers do not see things as we see them. Instead of seeing girls and boys killing themselves with drugs, instead of seeing boys and girls killing themselves with alcohol, dreamers see glimmers of shining gold. They see glitter and silver that must be picked up, that must be polished, and that must be placed in the well state dare to shine. Dreamers don't see what we see. We see things and we ask why. Dreamers see things and they ask why not. Why not out of the streets of Uganda? Why not out of the province of the Eastern Cape? Why not out of the black community of South Africa? Why not in the continent of Africa? Why not? Because they don't see things as we see them. Dreamers see things with their own eyes. The second thing that I was going to speak about was going to say to the dreamers don't care about the material conditions. Yourself, abakuliwa bakhe bahamba ushiyeka ngasemva. But Lando Yake Sheba Gasemba does not make him stop to dream. Yourself, when Tabata, Abakuliwa Bake, Ampasa, and Magini. But every Magini Alcohol, yourself does not stop to dream. And the way, but for the 10 Sengai, marginalized. But even as they served to the Ishmaelites, we yourself does not stop to dream. If today you go to Maria, and they locked him in a dark cell. And in that dark cell, we yourself did not stop to dream. Because for dreamers, the material conditions do not stop them from dreaming. Why do people say it cannot be done? If dreamers say it can be done. This cannot be done in the Eastern Cape, and if dreamers say it can be done in the Eastern Cape. This cannot be done in Buffalo City, if dreamers say it will be done in Buffalo City. Dreamers take government departments that are collapsing, and they turn them around. They take schools that are collapsing, and they turn them around. They take universities that are collapsing, and they turn them around. Because over immaterial conditions do not stop them from dreaming. Like Martin Luther King of old, they say, I still have a dream. Even in these conditions that are adverse, even in these conditions that are not suitable, I still have a dream. Because dreamers don't give up. Dreamers don't give in. Dreamers don't quit. Dreamers don't resign. Dreamers don't run away and hide. They go to Ghana to what you would call nothingness and hopelessness. They will bow down and they will pick up gold. And they will put their gold in a world stage. Because dreamers don't give up. this day was to make a plea to what you are saying, King. Please do not allow the dream of this dreamer to die. Dreamers dream their dream while they live, and when they depart, their dreamers, their dreams die with them. There are dream killers in this passage. People whose responsibility it is to kill the other people's dreams. And they only see, let us kill him and see what is going to happen to his dream. But dream killers in every nation, dream killers in every society, dream killers in every province should not be allowed to kill this dream. The dreamer has died. The dreamer has passed on. The dreamer is on his way back to where he came. And chanting in the name of God. Do not allow the dream to die. Do not allow the dream to die in the dream. You say you have fought a good fight. You say you have finished the race. You say you have kept faith. Good night. Now, dreamer, sleep well and take your rest, oh dreamer, until we meet again in the morning. May those of us who remain after you never cease to pray. And I say,
siyabulela kakhulu Tata Finca. Sikhawulezile sithi wahanga lamazangananela lusapho lakwaMnguni nakwaNgubeni angangamane nithuthuzela ngemini apho inkumbulo zifike zibe ngamandla. Sibulela kakhulu umthanjiswa, and we have a responsibility ngenene yokuqinisekisa ukuba amaphupha kaTata Mzimasi akapheleli esithubeni kuba yena he fulfilled his dreams. It's a task we dare not fail in. Masigqitheke kuba okokwam ayikokubulela abantu, ndinomeza wapha ozawusibulelela lenginginya yabantu abayi-50 abakhoyo apha kulo nkqubo. Ndiyacela ke Sihle Mnguni ukuba uze ngaphambili uzosenzela amazombulelo. Nginginye uba uyazi net inginginye abantu abayi-50 sisizumbulu.
Thank you very much, Honorable MC. Let me greet you. Let me also greet the clergy that is here, as led by Reverend Bosik, our Honorable Deputy Minister, Mrs. Nokawe, our Honorable Mayor, Boxing Fraternity, the family, and everybody who have graced this occasion. I'm going to be very short. At some point, I wanted to be academic, to have prepared in your thank you thing. But I decided to leave it in the car because I could sense that time would be against us. So for that reason, ndivumeleni ndithi mazanethole kunnono. Ndiyanbulela kakhulu ngendoba ubhuti nibe kanti nimkhaphe ngesidima. Uyindoda wena ezithanda izinto ezinhle. Yena ungafana umbone ngathi uxakalala. Kodwa benhle ebeyithanda kakhulu. And I can assure you, wherever he is in all smiles. Ndiyabulela ke bantu bakuthi nonke
starting from those who organized this funeral to our government for being so supportive to a point where the farewell kabhuti is counted amongst those whose funeral was a state funeral. It's something that we never thought of as a family. But now when I look back, I could see that indeed this thing has been coming for long. Remember, this man was appreciated by Nelson Mandela. He was appreciated by Thabo Mbeki. This man today is appreciated by Ramaphosa. And this man has been appreciated by all provincial leaders in this province, including the local municipality. There's not a single mayor who has never met this guy and appreciated him, including yourself, Honorable Mayor Kwala Pagati. So I'm trying to say we're very proud of our government. One journalist was asking me, are you satisfied with the recognition your brother is getting? I said, what do you mean by being satisfied? We are satisfied. He was the very icon, the very founder of our democracy. Appreciated his name. If you talk about rents and cents, we are not there as a family. Because we grew up in a culture where thank you says it all. So I'm here to say we thank you, all of you guys. Thank you very much for this wonderful farewell. We're in tears, but now we're happier. And we're stronger than we were when we entered this hall.
It has not been an easy task. Steering a truck and overload. Ndiyaxolisa kwabo ndibathele banyathele ndibulela kakhulu nakurhulumente wasephondo laseMpuma Koloni uba andinike ithuba.
Sorry.
Asandicomment.
Uxolile ndigile nee-flowers apha ne. Betinana lixesha le-COVID anditshone. As you move out, you'll get your parcel. Anditshone? But the family will move straight home, but all other people will get their own parcels. Anditshone? Andizuthetha ke ngaba balapha kwelicala. Anditshone? Abantu babo kwaba bayaqanda indlela zabo. Anditshone? Omnye wabafundisi apha wena ngumalume. So yena uyazazi uyawuthina. Kodwa abanye ngabefundisi. Abefundisi ke banendlela baphatha ngayo. Enkosi.
Enkosi kakhulu. Undenzele umsebenzi lula kuba mina mhlawumbe ngedilo zile siyabulela kakhulu. Masicele ke ubangabana ukhona umobe wesizwe sicule wona apha ephila mafomeni sicule umobe wesizwe andule ke uTaTuBosiki asivalele ngofefe. Kodwa ke kancinci nje before umobe wesizwe ndabuya ndenza ngakakuhle uba ndikhange ndiwagqithise amazombulelo. Nindiphethe kakuhle kakhulu. Nawenza umsebenzi kaTaTuMzimasi Mnguni wanesidima nesithozelo. Ndibulela kakhulu ngongazenzisi marhadele uthi nangamso. Ndicela ke sidlaleni umobe wesizwe ukwenzela uba uTaTuBosiki asivalele ngofefe. Ngomso umzimba kaTaTuMzimasi Mnguni uyabekwa eAlice. Enkosi kakhulu.
Thank you. masamkele ufefe. Kulo nako usigcina singabantwana bakhe abathembekileyo, onalo uzuko imbeko, othe yena kolu hambo lunzima kangaka wayiganga le family wahamba nayo kude kwalapha ke ngoku esenayo. Lwanga ufefe lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu, uthando lukaThixo yise, ubudlelwane bukaMoya Oyingcwele bungahlala nathi sonke ngoku kude kube ngunaphakade. Amen.
I now declare the special provincial official funeral closed.
What a blow to the boxing fraternity. There you see the final goodbyes to boxing promoter legend Bramzi, as he used to be called, and we'll continue to have a conversation about that as we proceed. But for now, this. Right, we're going to take a big short break.